Hi, I wanted to talk about a couple of books that I've read in the past, some more recently, and one I've read a few years ago. Um, One of the things about book talk and booktube that I find is sometimes, like if you're online a lot, you see the same stuff, and especially like if you're into certain genres or into certain stories, then you tend to, get stuck in like echo chambers of like recommendations. I mean, like a couple years ago, it was like everybody was obsessed with Six of Crows and like, the Akatar and, some of these other like the Red Rising series and things like that. And not that they're bad books, they could be great and that's why they're popular. I don't have any problem with that. But I did want to give some recommendations to people who like, not necessarily like, but like are looking for some more obscure type of books. I do know I thrift a lot of books. I also, like, if I like a book, then I'll try and find something similar. One thing too, yeah, like some people are like really into history and they want to read about history. I'm not really one of those people. Like, I have honestly maybe like one or two books that are actually on like historical events or people or something. What I like to do is I like to read fiction from that time period. I really like sci-fi too. I like dystopian kind of novels. I like fantasies, but I try to read some classic literature here and there. So I have three books here today. These have all been books that I have read fully and completely. I am not professional. I have a background in biology and chemistry and sciencey stuff. So I'm not by any means an expert in literature, but yeah, this is what I got. The first one is one that I read. I think I read this during the pandemic, really. It's Babbitt by Sinclair Lewis. This is dry, but it's very good. It's one of those books where if you're someone like me who might struggle with, addictions or people pleasing or just kind of feeling like you got stuck in a situation or a life that you may not have necessarily thought that was how you're going to end up, um, I feel like Babbitt is a character you can relate to. He is not a perfect character by any means. If anything, he is the most average um, guy I think you could write. He married a woman he wasn't absolutely enthralled with, but they were dating and she was kind and lovely and that was good enough. And so his life has just been a series of good enough. He's never really gone in and really thought about what he wanted to do or what he wanted to be or if he could be. And so he, in the story, gets a taste of a life that actually might have been. And, it's him dealing with the balancing of wanting that life and balancing the life he has and trying to break the cycle in his own way. The ending of this I think is very powerful. I really enjoyed the ending portion of it. The middle section and whatnot is, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little dry. Not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it. But I find Babbitt to be quite endearing, so you just kind of push along. Very good. It is a classic. This is not the copy that I read. I actually got this from my library little book sale that they have, and I wanted one with a better cover, and I actually really like this. It's giving like, I don't know, very like postmodern, kind of Art Deco revival. So it's very nice. This story, I think, takes place in the 1940s, late 40s, early 50s. No. Sorry, I am so wrong. 1922. 1922 he wrote this. That actually fits a lot better because you can usually tell fiction that's written after World War II. It really, like, the world was very different after World War II, and you can really tell with fiction, especially this kind of realistic fiction literature. Very good. A total conformist is how Babbitt is described. I really like it. It's like the ugly stepchild of my book collection because I don't have a lot of classic literature. I have that's a damn lie. I collect Harvard classics. I got a whole bunch of them down there. It doesn't necessarily mean that I've read them. I don't know. Literature is, it's tricky. Anyways, the other one, still old. I don't know what my problem is, but this is called We, and this is a very cool book. I bought this because I love George Orwell's 1984. I love Animal Farm. I love 1984. Brave New World, I can't honestly say if I really love it or not. I read it when I was a teenager and I don't remember a lot of it. I kind of remember a lot of the story beats. I can't say that it's, but I like Anthem. I like, Hunger Games and all these kinds of dystopian type of stories, Fahrenheit 451. So I was looking for recommendations or books that were similar to 1984, and this was written in 1924, and this was the book that inspired George Orwell to write 1984, which is how I stumbled across it. And very interesting, very interesting. I love reading these kinds of not only dystopian, but also these kind of just these old sci-fi stories, because they don't incorporate any of our modern technology. This was written before TVs were a thing. This was also written before cell phones or even really the extended use of telephones. I mean, they are sending like telegrams to each other, and everybody lives in glass houses, so you can see your neighbor, and everybody tries to be exactly the same. They're all conditioned from birth to want to be the same, and that it's a shame that people are different. This isn't like a Harrison Bergeron situation where they're handicapped if, someone's more beautiful or someone's more talented or something like that. This is not on that level, but they are deeply encouraged to act as a single, people, as a person, but it's all the same ideology. And so it follows our character, who really is the ideal citizen in this society, the United States, and his slow descent into, the manipulation of our counter-cultural group, is the best way I can describe it. Is a very tragic ending. It's not like I was crying or anything, but it's a tragedy. I'm gonna let you know right now, it's a tragedy. This is not a happy story. How could it be? This is not, we're taking down the society type of book. But very interesting. I had a very good time. I liked the settings, and this is written by a Russian author. He actually couldn't publish this in Russia when it came out, obviously, in the 1920s. was just not allowed. So he actually first published this in the United States, even though he wrote it in Russia. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Very, very cool. There's a lot of times with these sci-fi type of books, like when they do the dystopia, they try to remove every piece of the old world. And I liked that in this one they actually had like a museum of an old world home. I thought that was pretty cool. I think that's probably a more true reflection of what people would usually do. So, um, very, very fun. It's a very quick read, but I do like it. Very, very good. I liked it. I don't really like to rate books very much either because, I mean, A Babbitt is a great book. Is it great in an entertaining sense? Is it action packed? Is it fantastical? Is it a super sexy, sleek story? No. It's Babbitt. It has its own value for what it is. And I try to judge books more off of their own value because I like art. I like art a lot, and I don't think that all art has to have meaning, and I don't think that all art has to be good. Um, I mean, what can I say? I like the ACOTAR series, and that is notorious for not being a great storyline. But for being what it is, I had a great time. Objectively, it's not a piece of like grand modern literature, it's not life changing. But it was very fun, and if that was the purpose of the art, then it succeeded and it is good art. Babbitt is a commentary on conformity and mediocrity and the traps of, societal expectations. You know, we, this is, an alternate reality about, having your entire life be observed, being a part of a single unit, and the inability to escape the conditioning that might entail. And they have value in their own regard. I liked them, and I think that's all that really matters. I think the worst thing for a book to be is to be boring. Absolutely. If you're boring, then what's the point? I've read books that were absolutely horrendous, and I hated every second of reading them, but I finished them because I was not bored. I was filled with rage, but I was not bored. So that's my opinion on that. You won't really see me rate things because also, like, how do you rate a book in a series? I think the series should usually be looked at as a whole. Like, I have the Red Rising series, and I'm partially through the last book, and I don't really feel like I could make a determination for the series, as a whole. I could tell you about the individual books, but it's like, well, if you rate the books, do you take an average of all of them for the entire series? Like, I don't like that. I don't like that. The last one I thrifted this. It's called The Parade. This is a very interesting little book. This was completely on accident. I actually saw this cover peeking out here, and it looks like a little road in a city, and I was like, ooh, that looks interesting. And this is kind of a journey story about two construction workers who are tasked with, creating a road between the two major cities that are constantly at war with each other. And so as a peace offering, they're building a road to each city. I called the ending fairly early on, but the characters in this it was very good. It makes you think. I felt I felt a lot of pain. And it's one of those books where it gives you mixed feelings about the actions and the situation of the character. And it's one of those things where you get to the end and you're like, is this a pointless story? But you have these feelings that, no, I don't think it was a pointless story, even though what happens is not in any means what you expect to happen. I really liked it. It's punchy. It is not a difficult read. I think I read this in an afternoon. You know, it's less than 200 pages. Just a quick guy. I really liked it though. I have thought about it a lot after I've read it. That's kind of one of my requirements too for keeping a book, is I want to keep things that I think about regularly. Like, I kind of rearranged my bookshelf. I had it separated differently, but I really didn't want to take my young adult, or, you know, what are they called? The kids book, like middle grade. Is that what it's called? Like the middle grade books that were very influential to me. I don't really like having them separated, because a bookshelf is an extension of your psyche and your personality and your experience. And what you've read becomes part of your experience. And so I don't want those to be packed away like they don't matter, when really the things that you read as a young adult and a child are the most influential when it comes to your taste. So yeah, I have everything mixed together. This shelf here, this lower one, this is my TBR / in process. And then this is, I've read those, and then back behind. And this thing, I actually have all my series, because I don't like having big stretches of all the same covers together. I kind of like having just the mix of random spines and standalones. So that's kind of what I have tucked in there. I just like the way it looks. Having a box set like on your bookshelf, if you don't have a large bookshelf, like mine is pretty big, but visually it takes a big percentage of the visual space. So blah 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 blah. But yeah, those are my recommendations. Very good. Kind of sad. You know what? I think all these are kind of sad. I should just label this sad girl book recommendations. Obscure sad girl books. I'm gonna have to make a recommendation list for like happy books next. I'm gonna pull off some and make another video, but obscure sad girl books. Yeah. I'll see you in the next one.